Pressure is starting to build in the HBAR ecosystem, and given what is going on right now in Bitcoin and the wider crypto market, I'm extremely excited for what this means and why I think we could see a bigger move happening in HBAR really sooner rather than later. Hit the like button and let's get into this video. Now guys, over the last couple of days, we've seen HBAR bouncing nearly up to 20%, having a little bit of a pullback now. And it's really interesting to see what is going on behind the scenes and why are we seeing such aggressive moves coming out of HBAR right now. We'll dive back into the charts slightly later on, but first of all, I want to address the latest news that's going on with HBAR. Now, if you're not aware, right now in Singapore, there's an enormous crypto event called Token 2049. Now, there's a huge amount of development going on in crypto right now in places like Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, etc. And the reason for that is the regulations are very positive towards cryptocurrency where perhaps they're not elsewhere. And this is where a lot of things are going down. Hedera, during Token 2049 event in Singapore yesterday, announced that Stablecoin Studios, an open source software development kit or SDK, it allows Web3 stablecoin platforms, institutional issuers, enterprises, and payment providers to build stablecoin applications using the Hedera network service without technical expertise in blockchain technology. Well, we already know that HBAR is positioning itself and has one of the best, if not the best, enterprise networks out there. We're also aware that crypto and digital technology is starting to creep in to the wider traditional finance, traditional e-commerce, and various other areas. And it's so important right now that companies start to align themselves with this. But we know that there's a lot of blockchains and things out there that are extremely complex and difficult to build on. Hedera, however, is now bringing in a new platform that allows people to bring in stablecoins for governments, for international enterprises, and all sorts of other things without having to have any technical knowledge in building them. This is ultimately a very positive move for the Hedera network going forward, and something very exciting because obviously more people using these network services will be therefore taking out the supply of HBAR, and ultimately that is another catalyst that can lead to a push in the price, and we've seen that reflected in this big pump that's come out of here. And this is interesting because we can come down below, we can see some of these names that are going to be leveraging these stablecoin studio platforms for their applications, and pretty much everyone who's watching this video will have heard of at least two of these big names here. This is a very, very positive move, and it shows something else. When we see altcoins and things like this jumping from what is a very positive piece of news, and yes, I do often talk about the fact that people manipulate prices in the market through the use of news when it comes to kind of smaller altcoins and things like that, of which HBAR is a smaller altcoin. A big altcoin would be Ethereum. Then you kind of tend to sort of associate the news as having a more hand-in-hand reaction with the price charts. What I mean by that, if we see ultra positive news coming out about Bitcoin and things like that, then I tend to be on the air of caution because that's where the big money is coming in and manipulating the price. I don't feel so much that HBAR right now is at a level where big money is coming in and manipulating the price so much, which is a positive thing, and it gives us a chance to get in early. Now, right now, HBAR is building to a very exciting place. Put that hand in hand with what I think is going on in Bitcoin and what many others are talking now in Bitcoin, is that the price may well be able to take off threshold. Now, I'm not going to get into this like, will it hit 100k or whatever? I don't really care right now. What I'm really looking at right now is where Bitcoin is on the price charts. And for those of you who are like, oh, I've only come to see HBAR, I don't care about Bitcoin, you need to pay attention, in my opinion, of course, to what Bitcoin's doing, because if Bitcoin really has a very aggressive rally towards the upside, there will be a big move coming for the likes of HBAR, and I'll talk about why that relationship between the Bitcoin moving and particularly the likes of HBAR moving is so important. As we look into the price chart of Bitcoin, I've been talking about this for a while, this line through here showing the previous line of support area for kind of like the top of the bull market when we got broken down, bounced very clearly in this area, is now flipping and forming a support line. And we can see that we did break down below it here and bounce, and now we're doing the same. And we are now, as you can see from this line up here and this area through here, creating a large megaphone pattern, okay? Whether that's what exactly it's called, I don't really care, but it looks like a megaphone, okay? Got a person here. And typically, if we're going to be breaking this line down here, this falling trend, you can see what happened last time this happened. Bitcoin likes to repeat patterns that it's done. This right now is showing very similar things to what happened back in 2020 before the last surge in the last bull market. If Bitcoin is breaking beyond here, we could well see a rally up to around 32,000 happen extremely quickly, and most bullish megaphone patterns break out beyond this. You could well be looking at a Bitcoin at around 40k into the future. And what is driving this for Bitcoin? Well, yesterday we saw an announcement in Consumer Price Index in the US. The inflation rates in the US are slightly higher than expected, which would be typically very bearish for Bitcoin. And that was, one of the kind of catalysts that's been driving the entire bear market all along. However, while we saw these CPI results getting announced all the way through the kind of bear market, having a very negative impact on the Bitcoin price, we're right now not seeing that impact starting to happen again. So that means that Bitcoin appears to be over the hurdle of the kind of CPI inflation data and what's really going on in the wider markets. And the fact that we are now perhaps not even going to have a recession despite all the recession fears and what I've told you about all this negative press and how it should really be avoided, I think that if you look at this Bitcoin chart, you will be able to see, like me, that we could well be running out of time. Look at the last time Bitcoin bounced out of this green area. It took 1 day, 2 days, 3, 4, 5 days before it broke beyond this kind of red line, and then it rallied from that break, approximately 17%. From the current area, the green area, it rallied almost 26%. We're now in the third day having been in that green zone, and you can see that we're starting to find a little bit of resistance around the purple area. If we're breaking beyond this purple line, I do believe that it is going to be somewhere between now and the next few days that we're going to experience a breakout. And I do believe it's going to come somewhere in the next 10 to 11 days. Now, I could be wrong. It could just roll over and break towards the downside. You never know what news is coming. But most people are not really prepared for a big move in Bitcoin right now because the markets are extremely quiet. Everyone preparing to buy crypto lower down. But this is where I stand on this. So let's jump into HBAR and see what that really means for us. Now, HBAR has been kind of a bit interesting recently, okay? Because like Bitcoin, it had a very good early run up this year and then sort of has slowly been in somewhat of a downtrend since then. But you can see that this high kind of downtrend area through here is basically what HBAR is bound in right now. And I marked up this green area the other day, and if you were subscribed to the channel, then you would have probably been able to purchase somewhere in this buy zone through here, because I mentioned if we broke through the buy zone up here, that the next buy zone area would be somewhere down here, and you can see that it is perfectly come in. It hit an alert on my phone the other day because I talked about just putting alerts on, and then you have the opportunity to be able to jump in. Now, whether or not HBAR gets a further sell-off and gets back into this green zone, we shall see. If we're able to get back down towards this green zone, which is sat around 4.6 cents, then that will be a little bit of a discount from where we are right now, where you might be able to get in 10% cheaper. Now, obviously, that's not saying that HBAR doesn't have the ability to drop further down, but in terms of its risk to reward where HBAR is right now, it looks pretty good. And what I want to talk about, when we're seeing this positive news flowing in for HBAR, it's really important to see the reaction of the market. It shows you here, when we saw that positive news coming in for HBAR the other day, it was really exciting to see that it burst up very aggressively. Subsequently, it got pulled down as Bitcoin got pulled down, okay? But again, it's showing strength here from its own kind of community. It's showing strength that it has the ability to boost once the kind of parameters are set by Bitcoin in the wider market. That, for me, is a very bullish and exciting thing. If we're seeing HBAR kind of remaining in this sort of area here, I'm still happy to kind of be purchasing HBAR in and around this area. Yes, we've had a big pump, and we might want to wait for a little bit of a pullback because you can see we've run into some sell pressure here, which again might be bearish in the short term, but HBAR still looks very positive. They've hit over 20 billion transactions. It's building all the time. It's an ecosystem that's expanding during a bear market. This is very positive. Am I going to sit here and tell you that you're going to make 100x from HBAR? Absolutely not. But HBAR will be booming earlier on in the market when Bitcoin rips than perhaps some other smaller altcoins that other people are looking at. Looking at coins right now that are closely linked to what Bitcoin is doing is where I think you're going to see the most growth. So pay attention, guys. HBAR, you can see, is coiling up. If we're able to stay above these highs, then it's only a matter of time. Somewhere before the end of this year, at least, we're going to have to see HBAR making a move. And from there, we could potentially see a very quick move up towards this sort of area. And, then we're on to kind of looking back in the time where we have other areas of support and resistance to pay attention to where HBAR can potentially get to. If H bar is reaching that first purple line, then you're looking somewhere around 109%. Onto the next one, you're looking at 195%. This could be moves that happen before the end of this year, but as always, do your own research. Personally, if it goes towards the downside, I'm happy staying in the red for a bit. So don't come to me if it does go into the red a bit and be like, oh, you told me to buy. I haven't told you to buy anything, guys. This is just what I'm doing right now because I see a more positive market than many other people were seeing, and I wanted to bring you this. Hope you enjoyed that video today, guys. If you did, hit the like button for me. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe, and I'll see you in the very next video. Bye-bye.